Don't put your daughter on the stage, Mrs. Worthington.
100 years ago, artists and performers had a reputation as ne'er-do-wells and philanderers with regrettably loose morals. The stage certainly wasn't the place to put your daughter.
How can I make it clear? This is not...
But things are now changing, and there's an increasing number of Christians working in the arts. So this week on Songs of Praise, we meet those people who are using their artistic creativity as an expression of their faith. Today we meet the film director whose faith influences his work.
If I'm presented with a script which has a lot of sex, drugs and rock and roll, it's going to be difficult.
The stand-up comedian who performs in clubs and churches.
With Christian gigs, someone might heckle you, but it'll be really positive. They'll just go, "You're doing really well."
And Prt1 Roberts tells us how musical theatre was behind him finding his faith.
It's very difficult for people who haven't had that experience to kind of comprehend. They're like, what? That's a bit weird.
For centuries, Christians have had an uneasy relationship with the arts. Biblical stories and events have featured in some of the greatest masterpieces. Over the centuries, creation, revelation, the birth, the death and the resurrection of Christ have all been painted, dramatised and sung about. Even in the 20th century, new churches were being built, decorated with biblical pictures, like these Walter Starmer murals in St Jude on the Hill in Hampstead, where our music comes from today. Joe Enright is most familiar to BBC viewers as the hapless lab assistant Donna in the sitcom Lab Rats.
I just love them, Alex. I can't get enough of them.
So you keep saying, Cara, but 3 bags a day, that's a lot of mange too.
Yeah, you say that, but there's not a lot to them once you get them out the pot.
You know when you ask me why I never come round to dinner?
Is it the tiny peas?
Yeah, it is now.
For the past 19 years, she's been playing comedy clubs the length and breadth of Britain.
I like people watching in Ersington. I like listening to the names that people have given their children, names they've made up thinking they're classy. They were like this ciabatta.
But at the same time as Jo became a comedienne, she also became a Christian. She now plays Christian gigs and festivals as well as secular ones. So what happens when you walk on stage? Do you say, "Hi, I'm a Christian, everyone"?
OK, no, I don't, because I think that would be alienating. And to be honest, it's not really relevant, because if it comes out, if there's some material that it's relevant to, they'll find out. But I do a whole routine about reading your Bible on a packed train and how that's the way to get a seat. That's the way to get 3 seats and a table. It's a King James Bible, just slap that out. I had a whole conversation on the train where a woman, a very sort of slightly drunken businesswoman, saw me reading a Bible and she started talking about it like this, you know, and asked me if I was dying. And was that why I was reading it, you know? But so I do that story, but I won't necessarily say that I'm a Christian, but it might be there. If they want to think that, that's great. If they want to ask me about that, that's fine.
Who's been here since last week? Who's heckling me already? No, never heckle, ever again, on an empty head.
Because I gig a lot, I often will find a church in the city that I'm gigging in.
You must have been to so many churches, I was about to say.
A lot of churches, Elliot. But it's quite interesting arriving in a city and going, where shall I go to church? I don't know anyone. And trying to kind of build a network and sort of, you know, sometimes appear at a church and sit at the back and people will go, who's the strange woman in the hat?
Yeah, I'll have a smell of that. That's my new perfume, that is. Jamie bought me that, my boyfriend. It's ever so expensive. It's called Tester.
There's a big church in Kensington called Kensington Temple, and they had a lot of people in the arts, and they started a group called the Media Arts Group, which had lots of actors, writers, you know, dancers, and I just used to go along there, and people would pray if you were in the arts, pray for you. And
Pray for you in what way?
they just pray for work. Prayer has been a really important source of strength, and having people pray with me and for me, particularly people who are in the arts, who I can be real with and go, last night I did a gig and I was slaughtered and I feel so bad that I don't even want to leave the house, let alone get on stage. And to have people kind of identify with that and to be able to pray with you, I literally need that strength that comes from having a faith.